continuously aligning work to goals and execution to strategy. Complicated situation, isn't it? A topic that many struggle with, including myself. However, our hints and advice in this area are often well received by our customers who use our app for that purpose sometimes. And so we thought, why not share this with a broader audience here? So I'm going to work through a tip or two how to use Jira for this purpose. But to start with, very quickly, a bit more about me. Who am I? I used to work for Atlassian for almost a decade, and so did my co-founder. And we started probably 1.5 years ago, roughly, or a bit more, a company called Franz Software, and we're developing a Jira app called JXL, which we launched roughly a year ago. And it's been off to a great start. It's very well received and reviewed, and we made the silver marketplace partner tier within just 8 months after launching. Enough about us. Excuse me. I'm here to talk about project management, and project management is, I suppose, planning, tracking and steering work, right? So project managers, project portfolio managers, program managers, also product manager roles, they're facing similar challenges doing agile project management at scale. Essentially, if you're down here, too easy. If you're down there, sure, cool story. We've learned how to do agile with very religiously implemented frameworks, or a bit more loosely over the past 10 to 20 years. So there's Scrum, there's Safe, there's Less and whatnot. Up here, if you're large and you're essentially in a waterfall approach, I think most people here would agree that's not the sweet spot. Up here, you also have these frameworks at hand, but how life goes, how things are, sometimes they're difficult, and in this case, I think they're really, really challenging. If you're a very large organization, you want to be truly agile, it gets complex, it gets very involved, and that's essentially, in my opinion, for a few reasons. So and I'm not telling you anything revolutionary here, that you're looking at the project management triangle, essentially. There's scope, there's budget, there's time, and there's eventually quality or lack thereof. And just to look at scope for a second, like, commonly what I see is keep the lights on sort of scope. Maintenance work and so on isn't planned for or funded properly in terms of capacity or resources. Or scope creeps in from this side by customers wanting features or wanting fixes, and you like your customers and you do them, but that takes time from other work that you want to get done, and in the end the outcome is needles don't move. That could have a bunch of reasons. Just to mention a few here, I mean, of course, bad planning and tracking and steering is often the reason, and or you have what looks like a perfect plan, but you communicate it not in the way, initially and continuously during the execution in a way that helps teams actually. Teams in an agile environment are autonomous to a large extent, and so they can lose context if they're not in the picture. They often define scope themselves, right? In an agile world, they make decentralized investment and trade-off decisions and things like that. So if they lose context, that often leads to complete misalignment with the teams around them. which obviously doesn't help. And then I often see things, the solutions are often ceremonies or artifacts, right? By ceremonies, I mean like meetings at certain cadences. So you have your quarterly planning meetings, your strategy alignment reviews, your status updates every week, maybe even, and that sort of thing. And the result of that is a lot of people not doing what they like, and not adding value because they're sitting in meetings. The other thing here that helps, and again, kind of stating the obvious, is sort of documents. Hopefully in an agile scenario, living documents that answer questions such as these 5. So you want to have a vision stated, right? You want to, so why do you even exist and do what you do? A mission, what are you striving towards? Maybe you have postulated some values, how to do all that. You have everyone, especially in large organizations, has some notion of a strategy, and that's usually divided in themes or pillars or this or that. You have goals and metrics, which are somewhere between the how and the what, I suppose. So that those could be objectives and key results. OKR, sorry, it could be just a set of loosely phrased goals and some KPIs. And the bodies of work are usually organized, so areas of sort of focused work defined over a period of time. And they're called programs or initiatives, things like that. And further down, more granularly, you would have concepts that map to entities in Jira, even like projects and epics and tasks and so on. Then you obviously have your organizational structure. You have divisions or groups or subgroups or undergroups or overgroups, whatever, teams of teams. You've been creative, inventing names for these teams, even like squads or tribes or chapters, and but at the end of the day, there's people and they need to work together in teams, and then teams work with teams. You have your sprint, which looks a week or two or a month ahead maybe, and you have other planning and execution horizons that also don't make things easier. In Agile, there are always you're trying to deliver value incrementally, and you have sort of build, measure, learn cycles with frequent releases, and so that often results in sort of feedback and data that suggests that other things should change, and so on. So this is a complex landscape to navigate, isn't it? And the first sort of document that people have in larger organizations is some sort of plan. That's at Atlassian we used to call it, we had different names for it over the years. I think at some point it was a VTFM and some acronyms. And these sort of plans, I just call them try to answer all these questions for everyone in a very succinct way. How they're done is usually in a slide, so they should be a bit more visually appealing, so people get and stay interested and focused and really learn these things and understand them. And that's usually done in PowerPoint or in Apple Keynote or Canva or something like that. You also have a document or multiple, an organigram that sort of makes sure everyone understands who is responsible for what and how they relate to others, and how to contact them and so on. Your Workday or that sort of tool will provide that for you. You always have documents that you could call roadmaps. Like they could be a few boxes on a timeline, all the way to some very intricate Gantt chart or multiple there of charts. And but you always want to visualize what is meant to get done or did get done over time. What you can use for that is, and I would recommend that, is the advanced roadmaps feature in Jira Premium or Enterprise editions. It's really a great feature. It actually has been co-founded by my co-founder, current co-founder Hannes. So this is also an ex-marketplace app that was acquired by Atlassian and is now part of Jira software. You always have, or actually not always, I think this is something that is sort of an emerging trend maybe, but you have status reports. I'm not aware of really good tools that do that help you there. I've seen Excel or Google Sheets or Smartsheet or Airtable, that sort of stuff used for it, but it is really a different format, and I can recommend you to check out Atlas, which is I think it's still in beta, an Atlassian product that is meant to do just that. It's not very deep in terms of features at this stage, which is to be expected, but it's pretty neat, and yeah, check it out. I liked it a lot. And finally, in terms of documents and formats, you have sheets. There's spreadsheets everywhere. In all organizations, at least in some sort of disciplines, you will find work organized and planned in sheets. Maybe it's the work itself, maybe it's just the capacity for it or the resources. More often than not, it is actually used to also in not only in a planning sort of way to calculate things and to check things, but also to communicate. So these sheets are sometimes very colorful and have images in them, and then people are sometimes even asked. So it's also used as a form, asked to provide status updates in their sheets. What the problem now is with all these different artifacts and tools you use is that I think you should use the tools that are best for the job, definitely, but a challenge can be that Jira is your source of truth for sort of execution, at the very least for your engineering and support IT sort of teams, but also more and more commonly for non-tech teams such as marketing or finance or legal or whatnot. And then you have your other tools where there's more of the planning going on, and also that might be adjusted during the execution. And this is sometimes not helping in terms of transparency for people who actually get stuff done. There is a disconnect emerging over time. I've seen that again and again in different organizations actually, and so that's the planning versus execution thing. Often the sort of rupture is also between engineering and PM, or like anyone working on the actual software versus people planning the features, that sort of thing, or between short and long term. So time horizons, so you have your sprints or a few months or quarters planned out in Jira, but it doesn't map well to your overall strategy, or what was that OKR again, or the theme I'm working towards. And that's not beneficial, obviously. The key to long-term agile planning, Atlassian says, is keeping things in sync. And that what's mentioned here is project details or estimates or roadmap and that sort of thing. But really, I would take that much further and say everyone should always understand how their work does or does not contribute to some specific overall goal, the strategy, maybe even the vision. Again, spreadsheets often, I think, are pulled into this to try to do all that. So of course, there's Excel, Google Sheets, Apple Numbers. There's Smartsheet and Airtable and Microsoft Lists and Google Tables more recently. There's a bit of a trend for tables, And in products like Asana and Monday and what is it, ClickUp, you have that as well. And it reached the more tech savvy space as well, which as an example, GitHub's issue feature has a table view now, and Trello obviously has. And there's in Jira work management in cloud, there is a rudimentary sort of list view that you can use there. But we thought, why would the overall like Jira community miss out on the table trend? And they don't actually have to. This is where JXL comes in. If you extend your Jira with JXL, you'll get sheets right inside Jira, looking at your live data in real time. You'll be able to sum up progress, ladder it up all the way hierarchically to your themes or objectives and that sort of thing. And of course, I'll show you what I have in mind here now. First thing I should mention is probably that JXL is a Jira app, so it extends Jira. It works with your Jira configuration. There's hardly any configuration within JXL. It works with your Jira setup. And what I should mention here is what I've done is I've created an objective, a program, and an initiative issue type. And there's also a key result subtask issue type, and a bunch of fields that I created. And how this looks like is you have in the sidebar, you have a sheets item in your project sidebar. So sheets are located in projects. However, you can have as many sheets within a project as you like. So think of them as like an entity, like a board or a queue or that sort of thing. And you'll see they're not limited to that one project, of course. So you can have work from a bunch of projects, and whatever exact sheet scope you would like to have here, you can have visualized here in a table view. So what I also did here is I've added two fields here as columns, and you can add any standard sort of Jira fields or all your custom fields or a bunch of like special columns where we have calculated stuff and so on. If you ever need anything like that, just get in touch. We'll be likely able to just provide that in no time. And you can design this. What you see is what you get, sort of exactly the way you want to, right? You can rearrange the columns and all that sort of thing. But is how I intended it to be. So the other thing I should mention is you can obviously inline edit stuff, right? I can edit this here now. I can do this, but I can also, and I'm doing Command Z and I undo it. And I can, all the fields have like a different sort of way to edit them, as you would expect. There's a date picker, there's whatever you need. And one sort of jaw dropper often is also the fact that you can copy and paste things. So let's say, this stuff is all actually high priority. So I copy this one field, I mark the other fields, and I paste it, and that's it. You can do that with a few, like this were maybe 5 fields, but you can do that with 500 or 5,000, it's no problem. Obviously, it takes a bit longer, but now what we wanted to do is we want to make sure that this is a program management sheet that I created here. So we want to make sure that we top down have an overview and a progress sort of sum up of the work that happens out there. So what we need for that is a hierarchy. So I'll just enable the default Jira hierarchy, and you'll see that that's not sufficient just yet. So there's a epic issue type, there's a base level issue type, and subtasks. So that's not enough to pull in the issue types that I mentioned earlier. I want my objectives and programs and initiatives in here. So what I do there is I create a custom structure. I've prepared one here. And you'll see that you can have, so this is sort of the hierarchy of levels, and you can have different types of levels. You can have hierarchy, grouping, sum ups, and groupings with sum ups, and there will be more in future. So I've gone ahead and put a sum up at the very top. Then this is a hierarchy level. For the objective issue type, you can have multiple issue types in there. A program initiative, I've then grouped and summed up on project level. So this is summing up and grouping by a field, and summing up all fields in there. You'll see that in a sec. Then there's hierarchy levels with issue type wildcards. So all my epic issue types and base and subtask. How a hierarchy level connects to its parent is via a field. So if I use the default parent linkage, that's essentially what Jira uses natively. So your parent, your epic link, your parent link fields, and so on. But you can also establish these relationships via issue link descriptions, like here. All right, so this is how it was meant to be. Let's switch over there. And you'll see there's a lot of stuff going on here now. There's depth all the way up to my objective. As a project or program manager, I look at progress. So there are different sum up styles that I can use here, and I can change that in the column settings. But this is a bit of a variety to look at here. So this is a status progress bar. You have like entity counts and that sort of thing. You have date sum ups. This is a status distribution bar, and so on, right? You can configure that to your liking. And the beauty is that I can now, let's collapse all of this. Sorry, not all of this, almost all of this. I can now ladder all of this up to my OKR. So those are my objectives. I drill in there and I see my programs, and in there my initiatives, and in there could be multiple projects involved all over Jira, multiple teams. I could actually also group this by the group or by the team, or it's a spreadsheet, whatever you feel like doing. And I hope this gives you an idea of how this can help you. On one hand, top down, looking down, tracking progress and making and drilling, being able to drill down. Like you can have thousands and thousands of issues in these sheets. There's really no reason not to drill down all the way to some team's subtask and then question, is this actually contributing to that, or should that be maybe not done at all, or done later, or moved to somewhere else, and that sort of thing. And on the other way around, really bottom looking up, sort of in the hierarchy ladder, a team working on a sheet, their sheet wouldn't look like this maybe, but they would have maybe replaced their board or their backlog with a sheet, or someone has their personal task sheet, or inventories, time tracking, whatever. The sky is the limit. It's spreadsheets, but you have the opportunity to look up and always see what is meant to contribute to, and this hopefully helps with overall staying in context. I think that concludes. I don't have endless time here today. My demo, what I've used here is Jira, obviously. I've used JXL, the Jira app. I've used advanced roadmaps functionality. I didn't have time to actually show you the timeline, but that's tightly integrated with JXL as well. And again, I would recommend in this sort of field to look into the Atlas product as well. Sheets are life-changing is what the sort of feedback we get, which is obviously very flattering. So really try it out, give it a try on the Atlassian Marketplace. It's a free trial. I should also mention that it's this is built in a very modern stack within the past 1.5-ish years. So it scales to wherever you want to be. You can't outgrow it, and it stays fast at that. And your data, in terms of security, your data never leaves your site. This is an app that talks from your browser to Jira. We don't have a backend or anything like that stores sensitive data. So of course we got cloud fortified and security certifications and so on in no time. And of course we're compliant with any applicable data protection legislation. It's available and compatible for Jira Software, Service Management, and Jira Work Management or Core, and any future Jira products really as well. And you can use it in any deployment type as well, cloud, data center, and server. If you're on server, still Atlassian doesn't let us list our app for server anymore on the marketplace, but you can just install the data center app there, download that, install that, and then get a license from us directly. No problem. It's available on the Atlassian Marketplace. There's a free trial, and if you have any more questions, you could do one of the following. You could visit our website, jxl.app. You could get in touch via email, or you can just talk to me after this. Here's a promo code. This one works for Jira Cloud monthly plans, but if you're on an annual billing cycle or in data center or server, get in touch and we'll make that happen as well. It'll give you 3 months on us. That's valid until the end of the PM72 event. And how you can get in touch with us during the event is, I think at the time this airs, I think day 1 is already over, but you can meet us at our ice cream truck in the after parties at, I believe, these times. Would be great to answer any questions you might have, and just chat about JXL and the world. I hope you're safe out there, and have fun using JXL, and you enjoyed this presentation and it was maybe informative or entertainment in some ways. And thank you for having me. See you at the ice cream truck. Bye bye.